Good morning, dear ones. Lisa A. Romano here, the Breakthrough Life Coach, and today we're doing a video about how to love yourself after you've suffered narcissistic abuse. And this is a video that's very near and dear to my heart because for those of you who have been in narcissistic type relationships, who have suffered from the abuse of someone who just disposes of you when they're done with you, or disposes of you when you finally pull the covers off of them and you see them for who they really are. When you've been abused by someone whose agenda it was to just discard of you when they were no longer had a use for you. My experience with, I believe that I actually dated, I would consider him a psychopath, and after coming to that realization, after the relationship began to really just unravel, I was actually petrified and terrified that I could have been duped. Very good liar, very well dressed, very well spoken, and in the beginning was just amazing, very attentive, love bombing for sure, and smelled good, looked good, was highly educated, seemed to have friends, seemed to have a loving family. And so all the warning signs that I were looking for, I just didn't see. I now, as a recovering codependent, and even someone who's not even codependent, when you are an honest, authentic person, you show up as yourself, and you assume that the person that you're meeting is also showing up as themselves. It's not in your tool shed. I always say that the brain is like a shed. It can only play with the tools that are in the shed. So when you're presenting yourself, as an honest person, that's the workings of your mind. So your personality is coming through this honest lens, and you project that honesty onto other people, and you naively presume, we all do, and that's part of our unconsciousness, is that we project ourselves onto other people. So if I'm an honest person and I have no hidden agenda, I just want to get to know you, then I'm projecting that onto you, and I presume naively that that's the way you're showing up for me. I haven't really been able to decide whether or not you deserve for me to be vulnerable with you. So often, those of us who are just so ourselves and we show up as ourselves, we project and believe that everyone else is doing the same thing. So it's very easy to be manipulated by someone who has a hidden agenda when you're an honest person. So that doesn't mean that we go through life and we're suspicious. It just means that we go through life and we're less naive and we're more cautious. And we understand the rules of the true game. Not everybody is like us. If you're an honest person, not everybody is honest. Not everybody is worth your vulnerability. These days, you have to be worth my heart. These days, you have to be worth me sharing a personal reality of mine with you. I don't just spew that out. I used to wear my heart on my sleeve and tell everybody, what was hurting me. And now I don't do that anymore. I reserve that for special people in my life. But loving yourself after narcissistic abuse is so crucial because, for those of you who have been duped, who have felt like your whole life was a lie, who have been married for 10, 20, 30 years, some of you, 40 years even, to people whose agenda it was the entire time to convince you that you were wrong, that you were crazy, that there was something just not right about you, that you should not have trusted your own instincts, that everyone else thought you were crazy. Like, don't you know everyone thinks you're crazy? Like, don't you know everybody knows that you're nuts? Don't you know this is the way the rest of the world works? Like, why would you even think that? I mean, that's the way people talk. People who are trying to manipulate you talk to you. Now, it's also possible that we weren't with people who were diagnosed or could have been diagnosed with NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. We could have been in relationships with people who had narcissistic defense mechanisms, who, when presented with something about themselves that was uncomfortable, their ego was so fragile that they had to push any idea that they were not perfect out. And so they had to attack you for even suggesting that that they weren't perfect or they could have done something wrong. And lots of people react that way when you say, hey, that hurt, you hurt me. Not many people are self-actualized and self-adjusted, in my opinion, and can actually hold that space for you and say, oh, I'm so sorry I hurt you, that wasn't my intention. So we also have to expand our ideas, and some of us have been abused narcissistically by people who qualify as NPD, and some of us have been just treated narcissistically by someone that was their personality, style, or their ego was so fragile that they were unable to hold the space for our reality and it was just their reality, but they don't quite fit the criteria for an NPD. Regardless, whether you've tangled with a true NPD person or you have ended a relationship with somebody who would act narcissistically when the relationship ended, the feelings are pretty much, although I do think NPD, that type of abuse could be sadistic even. But regardless, whether or not you have been tangled with an NPD or you're tangled with someone who treated you narcissistically throughout the relationship, and now you're feeling discarded and used and abandoned, and they have just moved on, Once you see someone for who they really are, and the idea that they cannot hold a space for you, there's no space for two eyes. There's just one eye in the relationship, and it's the person who acts narcissistically, or who is self-absorbed, or self-centered, or egotistical. When you're in that type of relationship and it ends, you feel completely abandoned and lost. And those types of people are able to recover very quickly because they need someone else to reflect a positive sense of self towards them. So they're very cavalier, and if she's a female, she's very sexual towards another man, and she's able to, hook a man very quickly. So if you're a man and you've ended a relationship with that type of a female, you'll be hurt to see that she's able to attract, another man very quickly. But sex works. When it comes to female and male relationships, that dynamic, that works. Sex works. If you're a female that's been discarded by a male who has those tendencies, they're usually very, very sexual, very attentive, and very quickly he'll be able to attract another female, because there are lots of females who need to feel seen, and lots of men who need to feel seen. And with men, women can make men feel very, very sexually aroused by sexual attention, and with females, men can make women feel very connected to them by coming off like they see them, like emotionally they see them. And so loving yourself after narcissistic abuse will require a lot of acceptance and a lot of surrender and a lot of understanding about the dynamic and a lot of appreciation for the fact that it was not healthy. And it does help to become non-resistant to the idea that you deserve better. That even though all this pain is associated with the ending of this relationship, that we have to get to a point where you understand that your star self, your true self, your divine self, did not enter into this time-space reality for that type of relationship. You've been born to be your true self and to find someone who is able to mirror to you your greatness and your divinity, and who can share the rest of your life with you, if you do so choose, on a healthy path. So loving yourself after narcissistic abuse requires a lot of beautiful self-care. Sometimes we need to spend a lot of time alone, taking care of ourselves, licking our own wounds and bandaging our own wounds and loving ourselves. After my narcissistic relationship ended, and I would say he probably qualified years ago, I went on a hiatus. I didn't date for 2 years because that's how deep the pain was. It was my root chakra. It was, you got inside me and you lied to me, and it was all a lie. Everything was a lie. And what I did was I spent a lot of time alone, and I took a lot of Epsom salt baths. I started buying myself beautiful candles. I created spaces in my home that reflected just beauty. And I only spent time with people who understood what I was going through. I stopped watching terrible news on television. I stopped listening to silly romantic songs on the radio. I stopped watching Lifetime movies. Anything that was going to trigger me and make me feel weepy or sappy, I avoided. And it was all about me saying, no, I deserve better. So loving yourself after narcissistic abuse requires a lot of alone time, appreciating the self, and any not alone time, any time that you spend outside of being alone, nurturing the self, reading good affirmation books, understanding what this relationship really did. Go to YouTube, listen to other people who have traveled your path. Work on any codependency issues that you have discovered within yourself. That's a great help. Sleep, go to bed early, wake up, and do your meditations and do your journaling, and make sure you exercise, and make sure you take in really good food. Every cell in your body needs to be re-energized again. Make sure you sit in the sun. Have your hormones levels checked, have your vitamin levels checked, have your iron levels checked. Make sure that your physiology is working optimally. Make sure you're drinking lots and lots of water. Avoid people who bring you down. Don't take part in negative conversations. People that generally make you feel down after you've been abused by a narcissist, that is compounded, and we are very irritable after we've just been discarded. So it's very, very important that you surround yourself with supporting people. And even if it's YouTube that you come to, and it's people like myself or others out there who have great information about how to take care of yourself after narcissistic abuse, even if that's what you have to do it. If you have to avoid your family, and all their questions about why did it end and what did he say and maybe it was you, maybe you're just too picky, whatever, or if you have to avoid people speaking to you, your friends asking you a ton of questions, that's so irritating, because nobody really understands what it feels like unless they've been through it. It's not a normal breakup. It's different. It's like when a narcissist is able to get inside every cell of your being, and if they're really good at what they do, you trusted them, and they were able to get inside your head, and they're able to get you to question your own thoughts. They were able to get you to question your own reality. So there's some brainwashing that has happened, and there is time. You need a lot of time to wash your brain with new ideas. And that's why I say avoid negative people, avoid loud places. Really try to wrap yourself around soothing music, avoid hustle and bustle for a while, and make sure that you reach out to people who absolutely love you and who support you. And at the first sign that someone can't be supportive, honor that dear one, like, oh, gotta go, you don't get it, gotta go. That's what I learned to do. Most people just don't understand the intensity of a narcissistic breakup. They just don't. So my best advice to you is to love yourself, nurture yourself, avoid chaotic situations, don't answer a lot of questions, know that you've been wounded to your core. Love every cell of your being like it was you're a third person inner child. Like this person walked into your life and abused every cell of your being. And now it's our responsibility to re-nurture ourselves and to pick ourselves up again to the point where we're able to overcome any dark energy. And narcissistic abuse of any type, emotional abuse, physical abuse, and things of that nature are dark energies. And it's our job to remember that we are light, and that when we take care of ourselves the proper way, we can return to that light, and dark does not have to win. So I hope this has helped you, dear ones. My heart goes out to you, and I send you tons and tons and tons and tons of light energy right now. And I am believing that you will recover and feel enlightened and enriched the more you love yourself, and that you shall overcome. And you shall remember who you really are, and you shall reclaim the energy, the dark energy in your life tried to destroy. And I'm bowing to the love and the light in you. Namaste.